The back of that Na'Vi Furia game, I mean, that really did send the heart race flying.
Didn't it just? It was pretty magical, to be honest. I mean, we were casting it, so we know how mental it was going to be back and forth, Jackie. But when it went down to 6-4, I thought, oh, no, we don't fight back into that. And getting it to overtime was beautiful. It had to end in a 1v1, naturally, that ultimately Furia come out on top. And I think, as I said, that now not so much locks that group in, but I think Na'Vi will be sweating a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely starts to shape things up. For you at home, though, if you have some thoughts and opinions on that game and want to get involved and want us to hear it, as you saw with the hashtag on screen, 6Major. Send in your tweets. We'll be checking them out throughout the course of the show. And what you'll probably want to be tweeting in about is the fact that Empire TSM is our next game. Tim, another exciting best of 3. TSM obviously struggling at the event at the minute.
Super important best game as well.
Sorry,
because
best
of course,
of one even.
That's what threw me. Super important, super important between these two because TSM yet to find a win. Empire only with an overtime win and 2 points. Liquid just cruising with 6 points in this group. So we're already getting into this battle over second place. And you've got Invictus on 4 points, not running away with it, but certainly staking a claim. Empire and TSM, their tournaments have to start now for both of them. So this game is huge for them.
Well, let's start off with the Russian side of Empire then. Obviously, yesterday, Des, when they came out for their opening game, you could see the sleep in their eyes. They looked a little bit uncomfortable. Some of the names that we expected to be the real high flyers for the team were just constantly getting grounded.
That was it, right? It was a real slow start for them. I likened it to a diesel train earlier on that hadn't really got its engine chugging just yet. The first half especially, really slow. Down did show up, to be fair, and had a really good game. By the time they kind of reactivated and got themselves moving, it was a little too little, a little too late. Getting into the second game against Invictus, though, very different conversation. They did show up and start playing. It didn't really help that your first one, of course, was against Liquid. But I think when it came round to it, they had the grit, they had the resolve to come out with the win against Invictus. Another big game out of Dan, but other members also getting involved and starting to wake up. You saw flickers of what Empire can be yesterday, but today we've got to get the full picture.
Absolutely, right? Obviously, one of the players as well that we touched on yesterday was Joystick. We expected to see him just getting out there and getting gory on the server. In reality, Tim, he fell quite flat. Obviously, we've had a little bit of time since then. They've had a few games to get themselves into the LAN environment, which we know for some of these players can be a bit uncomfortable after such a long time of competing online. Do you feel like coming back in fresh today, it will be a whole different side of Joystick?
I'm hoping it will be, to be honest, because with Dan performing like he did yesterday, there's 2 angles to look at this from. I said it about NJR earlier. Your teams in a tournament that lasts so long have got to have other people that are going to get those kills, because Dan is not going to do that every single day. He's not going to get 17-18 every single map. It may well continue, it may well not, but they need Joystick firing as well. They need Scyther coming in and getting those kills, because that's going to help take the pressure off Dan, and if he doesn't have that big game, they can still get the map won. So that's important, but it's also about Empire being at their best, and Empire are not at their best if Joystick is not hitting those big numbers on the kills alongside Dan and the others. He is just one of those real impact players, so yeah, Empire need him to get going today.
Absolutely. Well, that is Empire. However, of course, their opponents for this game will be TSM, the American side that came to the event with only 4 of their 5. Merc, of course, not being available. Pojo, man, it seems like obviously Des, coming in, he knows the team, he knows the strategy. It's not hard. It's not some random where they've got to try and slot him in. But is there more that needs to be done for him? Do you feel like even with this roster performing with a coach that they can still make it work here?
I think they can, and this might come across quite harsh, but if Damwon can do it, why can't TSM? Damwon have had Roy Boy step in and play for them because Katsang has been taken ill, yet they're still stepping up and doing just fine. Now, Katsang, you might wager, isn't as impactful a player as what Merc is, because Merc is quite pivotal to TSM's playstyle. But as I've said before, you've got 5 of the best players in the world here for what money can get you. You've got 5 of the best players in the world in this squad. They should be able to deliver to a relatively decent level, especially, and again, no offense meant to them, against Invictus Gaming. I thought we'd see a far more out of them yesterday. Things look a little bit scrappy at points. We're not seeing the drone work. We're not seeing the pace. We're not seeing the composure in their executes. It's just not quite fully there yet. We know that it can be delivered. We've seen what they can do before. They've really just got to kind of drum it up now, find it in themselves. Don't let themselves get too beat down that Merc isn't here, and put on a show that the fans and they know that they can deliver.
Absolutely. And obviously, talking of players that are here, Gio on the side of TSM, of course, the only Mexican representative that we have in Mexico City, Tim. What's going to be the difference from that man today? Are we hoping that we might see more from him?
Well, I mean, he played pretty well yesterday, but I think we need to see more from pretty much everybody on the side of TSM if they're going to get wins. As Des has said, you know, it's not the end of the world. They've still got very good players here. Merc is obviously always going to be a big loss, but poor Joe Man is a big gain in his own way. So TSM, they just need to find their stride. The problem for them is they need to find it quickly, and Gio is going to be a part of that. Gio Bolo particularly, we saw working together in a bit of a duo, sort of buddy system out on the roam yesterday. Sort of semi-roam, they were working in the extension. They need to start getting the kills on that. They need to be giving their team that sort of early start. Gio isn't necessarily there to find the frags, but with Merc gone, everybody needs to find an extra few.
So you say they're working in the extension, it just sounds like your boiler's gone. You've had to get 2 blokes round to do some work in the extension, Tim.
They're just digging out the foundations.
Yeah, so we're going to have to go underneath the floorboards. You've got an underground boiler. It's a nightmare. Absolutely ridiculous. What is a little bit more standard, of course, though, is the fact that it's just a best of one. So we need to burn our way through the map pool and see where exactly we're going to be going. Des, in terms of these two teams going head to head, have you got any predictions for our map?
Just taking a quick look at the stats, to be honest with you, and seeing where they might quite fancy going. We won't see a club, we won't see a coastline. I don't expect we'll see a consulate. Those three immediately you can kind of count out. Chalet, Empire ban it away quite a lot. Maybe you see a Villa on the cards here, but knowing that TSM have played it twice. I don't know. Maybe Villa look at it, actually, maybe Empire look at it and just say, you know what, they played it twice and not done so well there, so maybe that's also an option. I'll hedge a bet on Villa for now.
I was thinking Villa myself, potentially. We know that Empire have had good results there, so I'm sure they'll carry a little bit of confidence. We said yesterday it was a map that TSM enjoy themselves, so they might be happy to just keep rinsing, repeating, although it's going to be TSM that take the ban away. So that is going to leave us, if Consulate goes, it's going to leave us with Chalet, Clubhouse or Oregon. We could have something new, but these two might see to that yet.
Oh, God. I thought it was happening. I was getting excited for it. I was starting to think it could go down, but no Chalet this time. Just Clubhouse, Consulate, and Oregon remaining. Still, Des, it could be tasty if we got a Club or an Oregon.
It's going to be Consulate, isn't it?
Probably.
You just know it's going to be Consulate.
Almost definitely.
Club isn't really a map. To be fair, they don't really play either map. They hate Club a little bit more. Oh, God bless. I was going to say, TSM aren't massive fans of Clubhouse normally, but I'll take it over a Consulate. We've seen a lot of Consulate in the last 24 hours.
Ooh, Papa bless. Here we go. Clubhouse. We get to find out which team knows the secret knock, Tim.
Well, one of them's gonna have to find out what it is because, like I said, coming into this, they need wins. Clubhouse, we're getting something a little bit different. We haven't seen Clubhouse yet so far on the B stream at the Mexico Major, so I'm looking forward to this. Just mix it up a little bit, something a little bit fresh, a little bit new. Empire, TSM, it's going to be a great battleground for them as well.
Now then, if we start to break this one down a little bit, in terms of where our actual favour is based on these two teams, right? We've said there's been some ups and downs for TSM. We know the roster issues that's there. We've said for Empire, they've not looked their absolute best. If we do have to predict a winner for this one, Des, who would you go for?
I think on yesterday's results, I mean, the lower third tells you the whole story, right? I think Empire's the one to look towards. It did improve in the second game. TSM arguably started to look worse. So, I don't know. New map, new team, new potential, but I still think Empire looked strongest yesterday.
Tim, you still sticking with your pick?
I am still sticking with my pick. I think if TSM are going to struggle, with this roster change, with these issues, a team like Empire, they're going to punish them. If that's going to be the case, if they're not coming in here firing on all cylinders, despite what happened with Empire yesterday, I still think Empire are going to come out very strong today. I've got a sneaking suspicion we're going to see a slightly different team.
Yeah, I think, right, obviously, if we see the Empire that came out to play yesterday, then absolutely there's a chance for TSM. Whereas if everyone wakes up, if we get them all on the server looking fresh, looking ready for a scrap, it should be an Empire victory. TSM have just been looking quite flat, obviously making the best of the situation they've been left with, Des, but they still need more.
They do. I think for both teams, there's a lot to really pull out the tank here again, where yesterday was kind of the the hopeful entry for both teams to make an impact and show they're still here to mean business at the major. They kind of choked out a little bit. Things didn't go the way they wanted. There's a lot more left in the tank. Again, even without a full 5 starting lineup for TSM, we still know what these players are capable of. And for Empire, similar thing. Dan's been the man of the hour, but we saw what Shepard could do yesterday. We know that Joystick can step up. Always has been one of the big players in EUL Stage 2. They have got the capability. Now it's time to show it. Unleash that potential you've got. Otherwise, you might find yourself locked into that bottom 2 before you can do anything about it, way before we even hit day 3.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be like Neo versus Magneto. We want to see lightning fights from frightening heights between these two teams. Empire versus TSM. America versus Russia. That's the next game we've got going down here at the Mexico Major. And for your viewing pleasure, we've got Tim and Des back on the mic. Boys, put this petri dish underneath the microscope and let's see what they're made of.
Get into it and find out when you drop them in the same dish as well, Jackie, what kind of scrap it turns into. Whoa, big Jackie for a second there. He's going to solo cast the whole thing, Ace, I think.
I mean, I'd be down for that. You know me, I love a Jackie one box. I love seeing that beautiful man big on my screen.
The problem is, it'll probably just turn into a one big long poem for all 15 rounds of what would be an absolute classic. You get a novel written for you. It would be a fantastic novel if that's what you're here for. But there's a novel that needs to write itself. A story for TSM and Empire is one that hasn't gone well so far. But you know how much of an anime redemption art, Tim. They can come in here, they can do something special, they can start fighting their way back in, but it has to start now because for my money, the team that loses this game is probably the one who's going to find themselves impossible to claw their way back up tomorrow.
Yeah, it's becoming very difficult for them at that point. I think one thing that I will say here, I think that a regulation win is very important for one of these two. They don't want this going to overtime. If Empire are going to get the win here, they don't want to be going in there and only taking 2 points. It only puts them level with Invictus. TSM, if they get an overtime win, it's only 2 points. They're not even breaking into that top 2. So whoever is getting the win needs to be doing it inside of 12. We need one of these teams to really step up and to start closing games out as quickly as they can with a bit of aggression. They need to send a message because let's not forget they've still got Liquid to play yet, so they really need to send out a wave ahead of them to say, look, that day one was day one, we're here to play and we're going to take those points, we're going to do everything we can to qualify.
Looks like 3 of the players on TSM have chosen to play a different game today. There's a certain passage that describes what it is they're doing. NA, near airport, is known as the fastest region to arrive at the airport, Tim. Since they gave up on the Rainbow Six Mexican Major, they're investing in speedruns. In particular, they are current world record holders in airport any percent and airport no wins. 3 of them are clearly getting a bit of a practice run in. That's assuming this game goes badly, but I hope to God we get ourselves back underway soon. It's currently only Achieved and Geo that are still sat here at their chairs with analyst / coach Data stepping in, with Pojo being a player in this competition. He isn't the coach. It's Data having to step into that role instead and provide support from behind the players as they do battle with the side of Empire.
Well, this is the thing. You can look at it always round. You know, you can say you've got Pojo in there. It's, you know, sort of almost like having your coach in the server, being, you know, he's bringing that sort of level of experience with him. He's bringing that oversight, but at the same time, he's not able to focus fully on his job that he would normally be fulfilling. So it's not only the fact that the team is impacted, it's the fact that the backroom staff are impacted, that Data's now got to step in and do that. And as capable as he is, again, it's just all that shifting, all that upheaval that can impact on the results.
So all the players are now retaking their seats. We should be good to get back underway in just a moment, a momentary pause into what is going to turn into a very long broadcast today as things press on. This map in particular, I'm excited to see how it shapes up, mainly because of how these two teams have been not so much inconsistent so far, but questionable. I remember back at the very start of EUL, Empire came up against Virtus Pro and they absolutely rocked their socks. Empire going 7-1, doing absolute magic against them. Whereas for TSM, a structured team, you think they'd enjoy a map like Clubhouse a lot. It feels like it's dialing things back to the bare basics. It's not a massive map to worry about constant roam play or potential runouts or spawn peaks. It should be pretty straight and simple siege.
It should be. We all know what to expect. You know, we all know what the aims are going to be. Clubhouse is a path that is certainly well trodden, and as you say, there's no excuses really for either team in that perspective. You know, they should know what to expect of the other. There's not going to be anything that's sort of drastically never before seen or anything like that. It should be business as usual, and for me, that suits Empire down to the ground because, as we've said, they're bringing back this style of almost rinse and repeat. We're just going to do what you expect, but we're going to do it better than you can expect. We're going to do it better than you can do anything about, and Clubhouse is the perfect sort of map for them on that.
Absolutely. Should be in just a second, by the way. I'm told the players are pretty much all ready. We are sat in lobby just waiting for the final confirmation and we can get this game underway. Out of curiosity, what is going on the other stream right now? Because last time we looked at the A stream, G2 were 3-1 up against NIP, which was quite a surprise. Currently, G2 are 5-3 up and they are on the defensive side. And you said to me about NIP, you've got to be very, very careful because when it gets to the second half of the map, that's when they can cause some surprises and upsets.
You never know whether they're sort of winning or losing, really, sometimes in the first half with NIP. Just because it's 5-1, 4-2, you just can't write them off, and you've got to wait to see them on that second half of it, because so often they'll come back in and they'll just absolutely reverse sweep it and just turn it around, and they just needed to move from defense to attack. They are very much one of those teams that on a map will be very good on attack or very good on defense, particularly on certain maps. So you've really got to wait until you see the second half with them when they've had the side switch, and obviously we'll see how that one progresses as they go on, but certainly better performance so far today from G2.
Alrighty, let's get into it then, Tim. Third map of the day, Empire versus TSM on Clubhouse. Bans flying through. Thatcher, the first one that comes out. No surprise at all. I swear it's actually becoming a thing now. I might be turning into a conspiracy theorist, but every NA team I've seen or cast so far has banned Thatcher.
Oh, the Russian team is going to ban Capitao. That's going to see our two attacking operators taken out for the duration of this map. Wamai will come in. Once again, we've commented on the sort of noticeable increase in Wamai bans that we've seen here at the Mexican Major so far, and that trend continues with the final ban coming in from TSM, and it's going to be the Valkyrie.
Beautiful. Relatively standard bans outside of the Capitao. Sort of ban I think I'd expect to see against a team like TSM. Not TSM. G2. Less so against TSM, given the current structure has shifted things up a bit. Maybe that's a bit of a prediction call coming out from Empire based on what they've seen historically, and knowing that even with the things changing up on the team with Pojo stepping in, that it still might get brought out as a go-to kind of more supportive operator, really handy for those executes. So restricting the options on the side of TSM somewhat. Not to be contained, though, by the looks of it. They are going to step swap across here, TSM, to bringing in the Vigil in place at the Mirror. And on the downstairs defense, this is a El Clasico hold on this map. Full three-story hold, off on what's called the SSG Roam, Tim.
It is going to be. We've got Charlotte on the castle, we've got the Mute, we've got the Mozzie, we've got the Vigil, we've got absolutely everything that TSM need to extend this. So for those of you wondering what we're talking about or what you're going to see here, basically, rather than just defending down in the basement, it's going to be an extension all the way up to the complete opposite end of the map. It's going to be right up to the top floor. We're going to have Mute and Mozzie, Pojo Man and Achieve. They're going to work together with the gadgets, and the intention there is to stop drones gaining access to this top floor. So the combination of those Mute Jammers and the Mozzie Pest are going to try and create sort of a blackout zone on this top floor, and what it does is it forces Empire to go in there and to face check every angle, to clear every room, and it allows Pojo Man and Achieve to hopefully make some challenges on to them, supported by Bolo as well. They'll open up the hatches, which you can see the hatch in front of us there is opened up down into bar. They will castle off down in bar just to allow this sort of Plinko style drop down from the operators. If you imagine one of those games where the coin drops down and bounces off the pegs, that's basically what these defensive operators are going to do when the pressure mounts, when it becomes too much. Drop back down to site very quickly, 5 or 10 second rotation to site, but they're going to waste as much time on this top floor as they can. And if you're thinking, why can't Empire just ignore it? They're so far away from site. Part of it is that quick rotate. Look at that for a quick opening kill achieved onto Always, and this is exactly what we're talking about. That's why you can't ignore them, because they will find kills. They'll hit you on the flanks. They'll hit you where you don't expect it. So you have to go in and clear them out, and Empire already paying the price.
It's like with this lineup assembling the 5 pieces of Exodia, but he's allowed to have a bit of a wonky arm because that final pick for Geo on the Aruni is the one where you can pick things that are a bit different. We've seen Capcans, we've seen Legions, we've seen Smokes, we've seen Jaegers, we're seeing Aruni now. It is quite a flexible pick, but the other 4, kind of the non-negotiable. They're the parts that you have to take as part of the agreement. Either way, it is on the downstairs focus that we're going for. And down here looking to burst his way in through kitchen. The yellow ping coming out. They know that there's one at the top of these stairs here. Here he goes. The reload's coming in. The flick, but Charlotte hits it first. 2 massive kills. Achieve started it off. He's bouncing out almost as well here with a second kill in the round. Charlotte finding 2 on main stairs. This one is basically done and dusted. Empire barely setting a foot inside of Clubhouse.
Empire getting absolutely nowhere near that roam, and I've got to call Charler out there. What a shout from him. Great play on the main staircase with the castle, hitting 2 with the UMP and just absolutely turning around in his team's favour with those big plays from the respectable young man of Charler as he closes out the round and TSM take the first. That was a really nice display of that top floor roam. The only real option you've got beyond playing into it is to take that dirt tunnel rush and just try and go direct route 1 into site, but so often teams are just prepared for it. The 1 or 2 operators that remain down on site, that is their sole focus at that point for the first 30 seconds to a minute. That's all they really need to keep their eyes on. So Team Empire not really having much of a choice other than to play into the roam, but they couldn't quite lean into it hard enough.
Alrighty. A bit of an adaptation to that first round needed very sorely, I think, for the side of TSM, for Empire, sorry. Completely shut down at the first point of resistance, and here TSM going for and a hold out towards gym and bedroom, so extending out to the west. This is a little bit uncommon. Normally the sort of hold you see from this is when you're defending gym and bedroom, but given it's cash and CC, that's quite some commitment to be out inside a bedroom. The thing that makes me worry somewhat is you've got, for example, the west window that you can fight on. The balcony down to the south, you can cut the player off that's inside of the bathroom itself. You can take control of construction. You can push in from logistics. There's a lot of things that can make this really tough to play in here, so I'm not too sure about whether it's an overinvestment for TSM, but I guess time will tell.
I'm really fascinated to see how this round plays out because, as you say, it is a very big extension to try and hold on to this entire top floor. Not too surprised to see it because, of course, quite often you'll get the pinch attack. You'll get them opening up the east breach, but also looking to open the wall between construction and cash and to push in for a plant there. So it's no surprise to see attention paid towards that west side. We just don't often see it paid quite so heavily towards the west side with so much utility over there. We've got a mirror window. We've got a Goyo shield on the bed. We've got reinforcements. We've got all sorts going on over that west side. But it's interesting because think about the attack. Empire can't necessarily avoid that side of the map. They've got operators out there that they could find pushing back onto them at a point where they go in for a plant or any sort of execute. But I think really the best way for Team Empire to avoid it is to avoid it completely. Just come in through the west. Look for the garage. Look for the west breach. Plant behind the servers. That way, the master bedroom side shouldn't have too much of an impact on them.
Hopefully so. We'll see. 75 seconds in is where we start thinking about what this build-up is going to be, then how they're going to be able to respond. Dan, one watching off towards the main stairway, pressing down because they know that there's a player inside a bar. You can see from those yellow pings singing through, but Bolo's still the one to strike first. Joystick falling down relatively early on here before they're even starting to square up for what would be a push in. I mentioned yesterday how I always chuckle ever so slightly at the irony of a Jackal being the first one to die, given his job is to find out where those roamers would be that challenge him so early on. The hunter has become the hunted.
Pojo Man hunts down Dan and finds him with a headshot. 5 versus 3 now as TSM going very well at the beginning of Clubhouse here. Great defenses in round 1 and round 2. Joystick and the rest of Empire finding themselves severely on the back foot. Always will send in a nade looking to clear out that deployable shield. Just prevent the defender from peeking out of cash door. It was actually one of the Vulcan shields, so that will be gone. Geo is likely to find himself coming under some pressure on the catwalk here, but now that Empire have only got 3 players remaining, it will be less so. We have a little exchange of shots there. Shepard's going to take some damage. Geo does not, coming away the better out of that. Just taking the little jiggle peek around that door frame. Out goes the Nitro unsuccessfully. But right now, Geo's doing a great job of holding down Garage.
Absolute nightmare. That C4, if it had connected onto the ace plane downstairs, would have been massive. And now he sees the man zipping up, finds one that's all too easy. Maybe question marks as to why the Maverick Shepherd didn't peek out with him at the same time, but he did not. Geo finds two, completely shuts it down, gets the third. That's a flawless round coming out for TSM, and so far, they just look so much more awake and snappier than what we're seeing coming out of Empire.
Great round from Geo. I just want to shout him out there. It was an absolute perfect final minute inside a garage. Not over-committing to any of those challenges, just waiting until the opportunity displayed itself, and a nice little 3k to just be the reward for his hard work there. Absolutely beautiful to see. We're going to be heading into round 3 then. 2 successful defenses for TSM so far. They're going to be heading to gym and bedroom this time around, and this could be a really important site now because, for argument's sake, let's say they're going to lock down Church and Arsenal CCTV and Cash again. They've won them convincingly in round 1 and 2, so why not? That puts 4 defensive rounds on the board for them, which would be a nice little bonus at the halfway mark. That much is for sure. But the third site here in gym and bedroom, if they can lock this one down as well, we start looking at a potential 5-1, 6-0, and that would be absolutely massive in the grand scheme of things. You're talking about any percentage speed runs at the airport, Des. This could be an any percent speed run on Clubhouse.
Whatever it is, TSM are looking really fast. I mean, look, for example, in that round when they had the yellow ping, this is Empire, onto the player inside the bar. Before they ever really in position to actually move on it, they then lost 2 members elsewhere around that. It's almost like TSM are just always one step ahead, and Empire are the ones playing the guessing game. I hope that doesn't become a theme, because we do want to see this be a competitive game for that second, third place scrap in this group. As it stands so far, though, TSM definitely the ones who have woken up on the right side of the bed today.
I'm loving seeing it. You know what I'm like. I'm just sort of supportive of whoever isn't really performing the best at any point in time. You know, I want to see the NA teams come out and have a great day today. We've got SSG with a mixed bag. Dark Zero have gone well. TSM could now be joining the party, and it starts to look a lot brighter for the NA region. APAC have had their day. I'd like to see some improvement out of Europe as well. And let's just have everybody challenging for this. Let's have everybody fighting it. Let's not have any runaway regions that just take the whole thing by storm, and NA stepping up is going to be a big part of that. TSM looking great so far, achieved. He's inside of Cash, hoping to hold on to that for as long as possible. Empire have made good quick progress here, got the east wall breached within the first minute, looking to pressure in. Bolo's in a very important position here, top of Cash stairs. He just helps to alleviate a lot of the pressure that could come through onto Achieved, because they're going to struggle to push onto him, Team Empire, until they've dealt with Bolo behind that deployable shield.
Quick side note, just to know how much more freaky today could possibly get. Well, G2 have just beaten NIP 7-4. Who had that on their bingo cards for day 2? Certainly not me. I also didn't have in this round Always and Joystick picking up a double kill to start getting some fight back into it after the opening kill was found onto side by TSM. For the first time, Empire have a numbers advantage, but now they need to make it work. They've got Geo holding up on the mirror inside of construction itself, and sure, they've done the work out towards the east, but now you got to start thinking about the actual site itself, and they've only got about 70 seconds to do so.
Well, that's the big factor here for Empire now, is time. They've got themselves the man advantage in clearing out that east side, but they haven't started to peel away the core of the onion yet. All they've done is get those outer layers, and there is still work to be done. They need to start finding kills on site. They need to start getting some control to offer them an opportunity to potentially put the diffuser down. 45-second always is going to take a ton of damage from Geo underneath the hatch there, and that nade will not go where it needs to. It bounces off and is going to explode up on the rooftop, but here comes Joystick, super aggressive, 3 in the round. Dan finishes it off, and that is the moment, Des. That is what we needed. That's the catalyst. That's the seal breaking for Joystick, and hopefully he can continue, because Empire desperately need him to.
Someone snuck into his room overnight and removed the Peacekeeper chip in the back of his brain and put in the kill switch, the one that turns him into a bit of a cyborg. A killer one at that, a triple kill coming through in the round. We've waited to see that from Joystick so far throughout the major, and I'm glad that it came through in such a key round as that. Empire have awoken, fully awoken. Time will still tell. Downstairs into church we go once again for TSM. Same strat coming out. Going to be that SSG style roam. We need to see something different from Empire, because last time rounds pushing into this, they barely got a foot inside of the building.
As I said, that was a bit of a pivotal site, really. It was a very interesting one because now you look at it and you think, yep, Empire can deal with gym and bedroom, so the likelihood is that the worst case scenario for them moving on to defense is 4-2. And you think, can Empire lock down 4 defenses? I would expect that that's a possibility here on Clubhouse. So we already start looking towards the longevity of this game, and it could indeed last the distance. We're going to have that top floor set up once again coming out from TSM, and why not? It worked fantastically well last time around. I don't think they'll get hit with the early nitro from Achieve this time. They're going to be a little bit more cautious about that, but Empire this time desperately need to get into the building more comfortably, and they need to make their mark on the round.
They do indeed. As I mentioned, that getting caught up by the C4, the double kill that flew through not long after. Not really the way you want to start. It might ruin your day a little bit if you're not too careful. So I agree with you. Let's see if they'd be a bit more cautious around the C4, especially the one coming out of Achieve. But you've also got to be mindful of the one in Pojo Man's back pocket at the same time.
Looking to see where Empire are actually approaching from at the minute. Joystick opens the hatch, and with the speed that he moves away from it, I'm guessing that's maybe where the achieved nitro came in last time out of the hatch just to get the vertical kill. Now Shepard, he's going to start opening this up as soon as he can clear out that bottom side. We will see the reinforcement drop away. He's going to need somebody to come and breach that for him. Potentially could do it with a nade himself, but with Zafir on side, I would expect him to wait for Dan to be able to come and just make that passable should they choose to do so. They've got the hot tub wall open as well, so Empire are in a position to start pushing in here, but Bolo's just sitting himself down on the mezzanine level of that main staircase, looking to get up. He's going to get aggressive now. He takes the shots with the Vigil, won't find anybody. Pojo onto Cider, but also always is there for the trade. 4 versus 4 with an opening kill going in either direction.
Like that, this is where you see the kind of pullback point come through for this comp. More often than not, they got that kill. Bolo straight back down in the basement site. He's still got one. Geo lurking around up towards the top here. I think he wants to try and cause a bit of damage. And Empire, they're going to have to play the safe game here. Drones come back out again. You make sure the top is most definitely clear before you think about anything else. And here, maybe Shepard would have seen Geo if he got his drone inside there, but doesn't because Achieve nabs the kill. If he remains undroned here, this could be pivotal. It could be so painful to pick up a member or two from Empire. This, not so much early in the round, but early into the execute.
It really could be big, as you said. Zafir just going about a business there, opening hatches up now. Shepard looking to push in, and I don't think he's got any idea. Goes in, he was ADSing, but loses the fight to Geo. If he thought the man was there, maybe a pre-fire would have been in order. Dan certainly turns his attention quickly, and once again, as he has done for the last 24 hours, gets that kill for Empire. Bulletproof camera just being left in position there, Des, to feed information back, but it's not going to stop Joystick getting the kill onto Achieve. Dan gets himself a second in the round onto Bolo, and it's all falling apart. It's all down to Charlo, but what a headshot he finds out onto Dan. Diffuser going down with Always, though, and shut down from the blue corridor. It's Joystick, Des. He turned up to Mexico.
Good pre-fire coming out of Charlo as well. You know, almost connecting onto the head of Joystick, but reduced lower rate of fire on that UMP. Not going to be enough to connect the headshot and get the kill he needs to turn that into a 1 versus 1. Looking better from Empire there. Thought Geo might drop away after he got the kill onto the plant holder, by the way. But no, opted to stay and go for a challenge, and rightly so. Dan punished him for it. So every step along the way where TSM have found a kill, Empire were keeping pace right up until the bitter end, when they most definitely had that numbers advantage enough for the 2v1 execute. Good stuff out of Empire. That's bouncing things back now. 2 rounds in a row. Wonder if TSM start sweating here. Maybe so, because they're trying again on the downstairs with a completely different setup. They had the roam one. Now they're going for the much more hunkered down version. The mirror, the echo, the smoke, the kite, everything to say. You're going to really have to go to war here to get through this fortress of putting up around us. Best of luck.
I can understand Geo taking the fight inside of stock. I mean, he's got the diffuser at his feet. You know, if he gets that kill onto Dan, that's round pretty much won at that point. He can just play his life for as long as possible in that corner and just keep them off the diffuser and just keep trying to battle and keep control of stock. But ultimately, you know, how many times have we said it? Once again, it came down to just a great shot from Dan to open the round up. But Joystick, we cannot ignore. He's turned up. We've got 5 kills inside of 4 rounds. That is more like the Joystick that we have come to know. And at that rate, he will have between 10 and 15 over the game. And that is the sort of numbers that Empire need to be looking for from him. There's a bit of a ways to go yet. He needs to continue continue on this path, needs to keep his foot on the gas, but so far so good here on Clubhouse.
All right, then round number 5 is underway. See how Empire's approach goes, because you've already got always zipping around on this ground floor. Now very aware that there is no one playing up on the top side. They probably identify at this stage, okay, yeah, actually it is a dug-in turtle comp. It's not going to be so aggressive. And Bolo is normally one of those players, and we've seen it on Villa when he's playing things like Goyo, is the one that will be off-roaming around the map. They're defending ABG, for example. He's the first and the last leaving Statuary as part of their defense. Here, with him backing away downstairs, they'll know, now that they've seen him, most likely it's a fair case of, okay, if he's on site, there is a very good chance that no one else is going to be off it.
Minutes into the round, always just opening up that kitchen window, looking to get a little bit of access there possibly. He's just moving down the corridor, looking for the vertical angles. Will take out the default cam as he passes, which can be done from above. Don't worry, Sider is not on low health. He's on full health. Sometimes the bars just don't quite highlight on the top-down view, so don't look and panic at that one. I've done it before. It can be forgiven. Always is supporting the push into kitchen at the minute. We're certainly going for a full hatches opening up. We don't have the top floor hold this time. That's been sort of foregone days. We're looking at a turtle approach to defending this site now. All of TSM looking to bunker down inside a site. And look at that for an angle. Dan just desperate to find anything he can onto the man behind the small bar.
Not quite being given the look there. Again, playing a bit of a minefield. The floor is lava as another C4 comes singing out. With that cleared away, there is only one remaining, mind you, in the hands of Bolo. Hatch will find itself opened up. You start wondering the question now of what Bolo can do. Can he find any C4 up into kitchen? Because clearly that is becoming a big focus for the attackers. That is going to be a pivotal part of their push. Now, I imagine then you'll see all the usual things. Someone pushing down through blue, for example. If you're feeling luxurious, you'll have one going down Moto as well. This kind of multi-point push is going to be a big part of it. And you can see TSM not so much skittish, but aware of that fact and trying to make sure they're ready for it.
Geo and Achieve just working together very well there. You heard the Selma charge go onto that mirror window that Achieve is using to try and hold down blue, and Geo managed to shoot it off, keeping the mirror window intact. So they're playing in a real nice synergy between the two of them there, just to help each other keep their positions and keep blue locked down. There's challengers coming in from kitchen hatch. The droppers come down. Shepard's looking to get the diffuser down, but the kills start to rain in. 4 versus 4 essential cover coming in, but not enough as Charla steps out with what could be the most important kill of the round. Manages to put down the diffuser cold on the ground. That was a fraction of a second before Shepard locked it in, and it's going to be a successful defense this time from TSM, and you love to see it there. Plan A didn't work, so they came through with plan B, which was successful.
I can't imagine a more stressful scenario in this game than being a support player whose job is to get the diffuser down in a 5 versus 5. You are placing so much faith in your teammates to protect you whilst you're going for that plant, and it worked for the most part, right? They were down to about a second or just under left on the plant, only for Charlotte to then be the one player that hadn't been covered on the dirt angle, loses his life, or sorry, gets the kill onto Shepard, who loses his life, and the round ends there. If that plant had gone down, very different story, because Empire had a couple of members hanging around kitchen. They would have been able to give that vertical control and protect the diffuser, but unfortunately, with it not being completed, TSM do take round number 5. Please put themselves in a slightly better spot in this half, and for Empire, I'd be somewhat surprised if they don't find themselves this next round and bring us all square at the half.
I mean, we couldn't really ask for much more from this matchup, could we? As we know that it's an important one for both teams. They're both going to be out here looking for a big 3-point win to catapult them up the group and to start that challenge on Invictus. But once again, we're seeing this big extension coming out from TSM. It was successful last time around. Round 2 was the last time they defended this site. Bolo opened things up with a kill onto Joystick, and Empire found themselves on the back foot for the remainder of the round. Now, I'll be interested to see just how well they can do if maybe they take that opening kill. If Empire can come in here and get themselves that advantage. Last time Geo held down Garage beautifully, found himself a 3k at the end of the round and just showed a real mastery of the balcony there. So that's something that Empire, one of two things, need to focus on, or just need to completely subvert by just going elsewhere.
I agree. We'll see if that's something they're up for, though, in this next setup. Pojo again holding out towards that west side. Gio has been the terror, as you mentioned, the one that probably wants to be avoided, but he's definitely got himself dug in. All 3 ADSs. He is that selfish Jaeger main who you're like, yeah, you're going to put down the ADSs? And he's like, no, I'm taking them all with me. They're coming with me. They're staying in garage. I'm holding that down. You guys can deal with any kind of flying grenades that might come your way. I need to be safe. I'm number 1.
Gio not being challenged as of yet. He's certainly looking for the danger coming from the door, but he's not going to find any at the minute. It's either just putting a few shots through from the rappel towards the balcony, but he's not going to get any joy on that angle. Gio won't expose himself that far over. He's just going to hold it down for the time being. He can hear the blowtorch underneath him. He knows that the push is going to come, and Shepard opens up the garage there. He's looking for the lines of sight that will head up towards the top of the catwalk near where the window is as well. Just giving himself options and making it difficult for Gio to move around. But if the push is going to come solo from Shepard, it could be a tough one. He's got 3 ADSs to help lock him down. Nades are going to be difficult to get in there. He does have always supporting. The drone is going in. They know Gio's there. This round could hinge on how well they deal with Gio.
I mean, the problem here, Ace, I mean, look at the utility they've got on side, right? They've got 6 breaching rounds or breaching charges. They've got the Claymore, and they've got 4 frags. They don't have tons of utility to deal with these ADSs. So I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to consume your way through 4 frags. I don't know if that's just awareness on TSM's side based on the last one that we saw coming out of them. But look, everything has been committed except for the 1. 3 is enough, and it gets the kill. Good setup, but I was nervous about the number of frags they might have to burn through there, but it turns out 3 is plenty.
They've got the job done. They've cleared out Garage Catwalk. They've got the access that they need to that area. They've got the breach opened up, so there is a potential for getting the plant down behind the server stack. Joystick finds Pojo Man. Out comes another nade out towards Cash Stairs. That's going to clear out a bit of utility as a minimum. Out comes a big nitro from Achieve, though, to shut down the plant attempt, but always, he doesn't mess about. He's straight out of the blocks to the racers in to get that diffuser that's down on the ground. Picks it up. It's hot. It's planted. It's activated. It's all down to Charla. We've seen big moments from him so far, but it's not to be this round as Empire tie it up 3-3, always finding the final kill, and the Russian machine keeps on rolling here on Clubhouse.
Speak about activations, Ace. Joystick activated again. Round 3, round 6, a 3k in either pivotal as it starts. We start looking towards the execute on either of those 2 sides. Really good stuff, and he's sat at 9 kills. 9-3, the player that we were shouting about yesterday. Where is he? When's he going to turn up? He tweeted out himself saying, you know, I underperformed personally today. It's my fault. I'm sorry. He's definitely making up for it so far in that first half. We'll see how he fares on the defensive side as we go down to Church and Arsenal. And you'll be pleased to know, only a sort of pseudo SSG roam in effect here with the Mute and the Mozzie on side, but no Vigil, no Castle.
So we're likely to see a potential bottom floor hold or maybe a very weak top floor. They may just have 1 or 2 up there, but it's not going to be a full commitment. That much is for sure. We could, for example, maybe just see Dan up there on the Mozzie. He'll have a little bit of support in the shape of a couple of mute jammers that always will put down, but I wouldn't expect them to commit too much up there, or if they do play multiple players up there, it's likely only going to be for a short time until one of them drops away to head back to site. The reason that I say that is the hatches are being closed up, so they're limited in their means of getting back to site, so they need to be very careful here, because TSM, it'll be easy for them to cut them off. All they need to do is get control of the staircases, and then they don't have to play into the roamers. They just need to wait for them to come down, essentially, so need to be careful with that one.
Got to think about the Mozzie pests as well. We saw them being committed out towards poolside, for example, or in the basement area, not basement area, the first floor area, enough that they aren't being committed on the top floor. And normally you'd use the pests and all the mute jammers in tandem to make a total blackout, like you mentioned earlier on in your wonderful explanation of the comp, by the way, Ace. Normally you commit that to the top floor to make it so it's impossible to get any info. But this is not so much impossible, it's a little bit more difficult than it might normally be. Pojo sent up there to open up a tiny hole at the bottom to get rid of the mute jammer on the other side to get things opened up before they go from here. They shouldn't really find themselves too impeded. To Empire, like you say, this should be a bit of a softer hole rather than a full-on commitment to the top floor. In fact, you've got Cypher playing up here on the Aruni as well, so he's maybe looking to cause a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, we've got 2 up there, so maybe more manpower than I might have expected, but at the same time, you see they're not taking the sort of hard engagements. Either when he's been pushed in cash and CCTV, he's dropped back to master and bedroom. They're just looking to sort of just shadow box with them and just wait for the opportunities to come their way or dip away. They're just wasting time at this point. Bolo doesn't get into it with Dan. The 2 just miss each other like ships in the night there, but the challenge is still potentially on Dan. He's not ready to go back yet. He gets pushed back eventually. It's either going to take a lot of damage, shut down by Pojo Man. Always does manage to get Charla, but they don't want to lose Always. He's got himself boxed in though, Des. This is a problem. There's nowhere for Always to go. His back is to the wall. He's cornered. He's got to come out of this fighting like an animal. He's got to be a tiger. He's got to go for them here. The rotation will be cut off almost certainly. TSM, they're just going to hold their angles here. They're just going to wait for Always to have to make a move.
That drone went past Always. I don't think it saw him. I was convinced it was going to go through into construction, but Always didn't want to take his chances. He shot it out, and the problem is TSM now know where he is. They can scramble to his location. C4 in hand. Doesn't see him on the hole that he made himself. You'll be asking questions about that C4, my friend, because that has just gifted you a free pass into Hell's Gates.
Certainly has Pojo getting an important kill there, but lots of time wasted by Always. 40 seconds left to go, and Pojo is only just starting to open hatches. Kitchen is still solid. Geo using an exothermic there on the stock hatch. Out comes the nitro, and catches achieved. Full in the face. Great throw from Dan, and that is perfectly timed from Empire. 25 seconds left to go, and a lot of work for TSM. It's not to say that it's not possible. This is one of those sites that you just tend to see those final round bloodbaths now. The drop could potentially come through. Look how aggressive Dan is getting. It's too aggressive. It allows TSM in. They've got diffuser in hand. There is the potential for Geo to put this down. Joystick finds Bolo. Pojo Man gets the trade. 2 versus 1. This is anybody's. It's 1 versus 1. It's Shepard. Does he find it? Yes! He gets his second headshot onto Geo. And what a play from the cool, calm, collected Shepard. We've seen it countless times, but it is still a pleasure for the eyes.
I mean, if Pojo's walking through with a 3K, you're probably thinking, oh man, we're just done. Shepard, one of those players that never quite says, I'm not done just yet. Look at him yesterday. Sexy Cake had the quadra kills on for the ace, and Shepard pulls off a 1 versus 3 to win the round for Empire. Similar sort of setup here. 2 kills in the dying execute, and took the right plan of action, by the way. Running away from the gunfight, I think realized that he wouldn't get to the end of the corridor before the last man standing on TSM rounded the corner. He was either going to try and go for the challenge, go for the kill, or go for the plant. He opted to go for the kill. Shepard just a little bit better in that small individual gunfight. But that's what matters. A big round being clutched up by him. Empire move up to 4 and 3.
Great performance from Team Empire then, taking 3 out of the last 4 rounds. TSM, after a really good start in the first couple, just finding themselves being sort of guarded against, just being fenced away, just being jabbed, kept at a reach by Team Empire here as they're looking for that big knockout punch. And given that last round, you wouldn't really put it past them. They're going to be heading to gym and bedroom this time around. That leaves them cash and CCTV should they win here. So this could be an important round. You know that I love to look at the scoreboard when we're talking 4-3, Des, and which way the round goes. 5-3 is a big moment for Team Empire, especially if they then move into a site like CCTV and cash. They'll be, I'm sure, confident that they can lock that one down and get themselves onto match point. So this is an important round for TSM to win.
Okie dokie. Things are getting spicy. TSM definitely got some work to do. I mean, we came into the game thinking we think Empire will be the ones to walk away the victor. TSM definitely haven't bowled over just yet, but it's starting to feel like it could move towards that if they aren't too careful. Similar sort of vibe again here as well. Big focus on getting control of this east breach before they can even start thinking about the gym side. They'll be greeted here as the wall gets opened up by the laser gates. It's still got one facing off towards Scyther. Stops grenades going singing through essentially up towards the shield, so Scyther can feel a little more comfortable in stepping forward, taking exchanges if he really wants to, and has 3 members with him. Joystick, Always, and Scyther all committing towards this, but now you've got to worry about the drop from Achieve. No one knew. He's pioneered the mirror window for one of his own. Could shoot it out if he chooses, but for now, wants to stay there. And Empire, some lost ground that they need to reclaim here. Steps around, they see the man, but can't quite connect the shots. Achieved in a pretty precarious position, will lose out. Mirror window reclaimed.
Important kill from Shepard there, and how many times are we going to say that, Des? We said it yesterday a number of times. Shepard just stepping up when his team needed him most, and it really is becoming one of his key characteristics. Sider still in position at the top of Cash stairs there. He's got the frost mat to protect him from any push up the stairs. Even if it doesn't snap shut on somebody, it's the fact they'll have to shoot it out to approach him that is important. Now then, the laser gate cleared out. Sider's going to dip away as the nade comes in to clear the shield, but this is not the end of the world. 1 minute 15 left and a lot of time burnt out by Empire, but always caught on the rotation there. It's Charla who gets another of those impact kills that we've seen raining in for him round after round. TSM have got the advantage. 4 versus 3. 1 minute left to go. They've still got one Rotero drone left from Flores, but Bolo, no! He's been caught out by the frost mat at the top of Cash stairs.
That one hits you deep, Ace. I know it does as well. You're feeling that one deep inside your soul. Down to about 20 HP there. Not the end of the world, but still enough that one bullet will be enough to blow him over. Shepard falling back now from inside of the Cash CC extended hold, and instead moving here to play behind that mirror window inside of logistics. And whilst they've lost that initial front line, there's a second one waiting for them. It's another puzzle for TSM to solve, and the big challenge is they've only got 30 seconds in which to crack this one and then think about the site.
The big problem here is going to be Shepard on that mirror window, because the push is largely coming from that construction side, and he's in a position to really shut it down. They've had to move on to the windows instead. They're going to go straight in. Gio's got a potential opportunity to get the diffuser down here. He's looking to continue doing so. He's going for it. The shot's coming onto the foot, and that stops the diffuser going down in the absolute nick of time. Shepard with the nitro onto Gio. There we go, the hop through from Dan, but Charla, he races in, picks up the briefcase. He's putting it down. The cover is there from Bolo after being picked up from the frost mat. He comes in to win the round for TSM.
Massive coming out of Bolo. 2 huge kills that we really can't understate the impact of. The one into bathroom, the second into Shepard as the last man pushing his way forward. A great swing from Bolo. The thing is, Shepard even knew he was there, saw the gun rounding the corner, but couldn't quite connect the shots in time. Big round, and that's 2 now. 1, looking back at Shepard in the prior round. This round, looking at Bolo to bring things all square at 4 apiece. They know just how important this game is, Ace, and I'm kind of with you. There needs to be a regulation time win. Someone needs to take this cleanly before we get to overtime, because those 3 points are so valuable to one of these 2 teams in their hopes of making it out of the group of death.
Always pick your players up if you get the opportunity, Des. Always pick them up if you get the chance, because you just don't know what they're going to do. And when it's a player like Bolo, 20 HP, 200 HP... I mean, actually, I'll take that back. I don't want to see him with 200 HP. I was going to say it doesn't matter. He can always close a round out. Give Bolo 200 HP, he'll be winning 1v5s. That's ridiculous. But comes in, 20 HP, doesn't matter, essential. But I am not overlooking Charla here. How many times there's today? For me, he is the player. He is the man on the side of TSM right now. He's had some huge moments here on Clubhouse, and that was another one. Gio gets dropped in the nick of time from Empire and puts the diffuser down. Charla doesn't think twice about it. He is straight in there like a greyhound to pick up that diffuser and start putting it down again, because he's aware of the time and he's aware of losing the round because of it. Great play from Charla. Even though he didn't get the kills, he won the round.
I'm on it. I said coming into this tournament yesterday, I was like, I'm just glad for International Siege to be back. And I thought, you know, well, that's some good games. It'll be nice and chill. We'll have a great time. But it reminds me almost of SI 2021 when we were all in Paris, just how insane that group stage was. We were saying at the time, you're never going to see a group stage this mental. I don't know if this one has quite yet surpassed it, but it is well on its way there with some of the games that we've seen. The upsets that have come, especially from APAC teams. And here you're getting an absolute screamer between 2 teams that are a bit down on their luck, but ultimately well on their way to being able to achieve greatness in this game with how some of the players are playing. I live for it, Tim. It's the kind of International Siege that you want to see every 3 months at a major.
Kind of International Siege I want to see every day, Des. Because it is just so entertaining. Charla sends in the Rotero drone. That's going to anchor down, and that will clear out the deployable shield up at the top of the stairs. Sider's going to have to dip away from that location or play it a little bit deeper down onto the Cash stairs, but it just leaves him exposed from the bottom. Right now, he's got joystick still supporting him down there playing inside a lounge, and there's not going to be anybody pushing from underneath, so for the time being, reasonably safe. Dan is playing inside a Cash, but getting very aggressive there, looking out onto that plateau peak and just Trying to catch anybody that he can on the rappel. He's going to turn his attention towards logistics and the cash side, which is probably not a bad idea. He's looking for the nitro over the top. It's not an easy throw. It's not an easy throw, Des. He's got to thread the needle, but he's going to dip away. He's not going to take the challenge, and the wall is likely to get open. This is good progress from an aggressive TSM side. You can really feel they've got the wind in their sails right now, but look at Joystick. He's going to get the man. Yes, gets the opening kill onto Achieve. Can he get the second? The reload time! The reload just takes it away from him as Geo finds the kill to level things up. 4-4, turns his attention to the wall. He's going to drop the exothermic charge and get it open, but can Shepard find the angle? I don't think he can. As you say, it's jammed out. They need to clear the mute jammer. 35 seconds left to go. TSM need to get moving.
No. You could just wait here and go for the... Oh, I was going to say you could have waited, gone for the exothermic and then collected the man, but Geo retains the exothermic. Digs one in on the right-hand side. This one will go off. C4 a little bit too late. It was very, very close. I think even destroyed by the exothermic at that moment as well. Unfortunate. Wall is open. Long-range shot. Geo traded back out by always. Not long after a 3 versus 2. Dan whacks the pistol out. Bam, bam, bam. Into Charla. Always from the window. Bings down Pojo. Empire find yet another round.
Empire managed to get themselves ahead once more, but just like almost every other game that we've had on the Bravo stream, we are 5-4, we are close, we are going to the wire. Team Empire just getting themselves the slight advantage, but TSM gonna hit them with attack timeout and just slow things down.
Understandable as well. They probably do want to breathe a little bit here. In the last 4 rounds, only 1 has been taken by TSM. Round 6, round 7, round 9, all going the way of Empire. It's clear that something needs to happen. And even the round that they did win came down to a pretty big clutch coming out of Bowler. Those 2 kills in the 2 versus 2, whilst his teammate was stuck in that plant situation. That's what you're looking at there and thinking, well, you can't really rely on that happening again. So if things were to carry on at this pace, Empire would comfortably breeze through to a regulation time victory. So the right call, I think, coming out of TSM here. Let's hope it works for them.
I can't keep saying it every game, Des, but this might just be one of the games of the day. It just seems like every game we have is a game of the day contender. And I'm not just saying this, I genuinely mean this when I say it. I am yet to see a game at this major that hasn't been entertaining, that I haven't enjoyed, that hasn't had me on the edge of my seat. I'm absolutely loving it. We're being ruined.
Let me have a quick scan down the games that we've seen so far, actually. Would they class any as boring? Like,
not one for me has been short of entertainment, regardless of the result. Not one of them. It's been absolutely top tier international siege so far.
Group B has been entertaining, so I know from start to finish Group B has been amazing because of the 2 time games with Fury and Na'Vi SSG. Right, you can park that one already and say that was amazing. We had Dark Zero versus Down 1. That was not so much a stomp, but was a really convincing game by Dark Zero, which for us at least cemented that story of Dark Zero are here to play. And I think, currently playing second fiddle, or maybe even first, and being slightly ahead of SSG. Because they've looked phenomenal. They almost beat NIP. The problem is that group has now been turned upside down because G2 beat NIP. They're looking towards Group D. What have we had in our stream? Liquid dominance against Empire and TSM. IG upsetting TSM. Empire almost losing to IG, winning in overtime. And now this game now. I think I'm with you. Every single game that we have seen on this stream, at least, I can't speak for Stream A too much, but that's had some bangers as well. But everything we've seen on Stream B, phenomenal from start to finish.
I'm looking for, as the day progresses and into tomorrow, we're going to be seeing, because we haven't seen too much of Group A and Group C. We haven't seen NIP, G2. We haven't really seen BDS yet. We've got a few teams that we've yet to see on the Bravo stream, but they're coming. Don't worry. Stick with us because we're going to be showing them over the remainder of today, tomorrow. We're going to be bringing you some of those teams from the group stages, but we've had an absolute pleasure so far. Like I say, it really has just been full throttle from beginning to end. There has been absolutely no rest, no let up, and I just hope it continues, and I'm certain that it's going to. Now then, back to business. We're in round 10. Empire, they are leading 5-4. They have the slimmest of margins right now. TSM are looking to mount their attack from the east side. It's going to be going in towards gym and bedroom. If you remember last time around, this came down to an absolute last-second plant from Charla and Bolo with a double kill on the cover, and it was really, really close. Now, out comes the Nitro. I think always thinking TSM were just maybe a little bit more advanced than they are on the push, so those explosives are not going to have any joy. Sidra and Always going to hold down Cash for as long as possible, but I want to see them not giving up their lives at this point. They just felt like they were overrun a little bit last time.
A little bit, yeah, but again, it's going to be this extended setup. The mirror on side once more. Everything looking the same for Empire, and why fix what ain't broken? It's on TSM to be the ones to adapt, to show they've got something new in the tank. Because for Empire, I'd say on that last defense, they did play it really well. It was down to a great 2 versus 2, but I think the strat itself was pretty sound in terms of what they brought out. Equally, TSM showed they had a good capability to deal with it. But maybe enough to make it a more convincing victory. That's what I'm looking for. You aren't going to have that 2 versus 2 clutch coming out every single round.
Absolutely not. All 5 of Empire now falling back to site. They've got their angles, they've got the positions, and that's what they're going to try to hold on to. 4 of TSM pushing from the east side. I'm just looking to see if I can find where the final man is up on the roof. That's what I wanted to see, because they need to be pressuring into logistics. We saw it last time around. It was a little bit of a sticking point. TSM did manage to work around it, but there was the potential pitfall there as Shepard was playing on the mirror. This time it's always in there, but they need to do something about that location if they can. Time is going to be a factor. You're absolutely right. There's 35 seconds left to go. Empire still all 5 defensively. Hot to wall closed. I'm not sure about this from TSM.
I mean, they've got the south balcony control because they control CC, meaning that the west window can't be used against them, so it's something. Now they need to try and get their way pushed in through logistics. And now that the move's gone through there, Chiefs is dead. That means they can play back on the window. Always is there. Could go for a big spray down. Being pressured out. That's going to be the mirror window meleeed out. There could be a swing coming through, but no, they've ignored him. They're sprinted away like 2 kids playing knock door run. Pojo finding 1. Geo going in for the plant. Pojo hits the deck. It's a 2 versus whatever. Empire steamrolled their way through. It was a 2 versus 3 to be precise. But Empire close it out in much more convincing fashion. They move up to match point. TSM, got to work some magic, boys.
You can be forgiven for losing track of the mine count there, Des. It was a bit of insanity at the end of the round. There was just kills raining in both directions. We saw bodies dropping through hatches, diffusers trying to go down, challenges made, but ultimately it was Empire that came out kings of the hill there in round 10, locking it down and getting themselves the match point opportunity. Not just the match point, but 2 bites at the cherry. They've got 2 opportunities here to close this out. We spoke about regulation wins. We spoke about 3 points. We spoke about just how important that is for both of these teams. Empire, they've played well. They need to double down now. They need to come through here and they just need to lock this one out. They need to just be ruthless, close it down, put 3 on the board and put themselves ahead of Invictus, at least for the time being.
It's a random question for you, actually, Ace. It's just related to the little line I dropped in there. Knockdoor Run. Do you guys call it Knockdoor Run up north, or has it got a different name?
We put an A in there. We put an A, so it's Knock Ador up here, yeah.
But you drop out silly words like... Remember you gave me the reference
Des, we've
France?
spoken about this. We've spoken about this. I don't drop words. I just say them really quickly and you can't hear them.
No.
Because you're not from round here.
Nah, because, all right, so everyone in chat, so you understand the problem here. Ace gave me an example when we were out in Paris for stage 2, and he said to me something like, you know, we'll sometimes drop the word the, or we don't drop it, you just don't hear it. I'm like, give me an example. He's like, you know, I'm going to go on computer. And I'm like, you mean go on the computer? And he was like, no, go on computer. I'm like, Ace, that makes no sense.
Computer. See, I said it then. I'm going to go on computer. See, you're just not hearing it. That's the problem, but it is there. It's there. It's there.
What, mate, I think you're just a magician with words and with the ponytail. There's some things that the world is never going to see, but they're just not ready for it.
It's there, just like Team Empire are there when it comes to match point. 6-4 up and looking to close this one out against TSM now. 40 seconds in, we've got all 5 of Empire back on site. I believe there's a man up in Dirt Tunnel, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. We've certainly got 4 down there. Yes, either he's just so far away we can't quite see him on our screen, but thank you very much for showing him to us. So that leaves us with Empire Turtle down. Only a minute gone. TSM, they, I think, are pretty much confident that they've got map control of the top 2 floors now. So that gives them an absolute edge, Des. Usually you're looking at needing about a minute to start opening hatches, clearing, getting down into sight, getting a few kills and starting your execute. So TSM can really take the time here. They can make sure that they're crossing the T's and dotting the I's before they start pushing in and trying to get the diffuser down.
Alrighty, well here comes the Pojo, getting the hatches opened up as we've seen before. Delicate artwork being executed on these hatches, but it is indeed percentile destruction to get that cleared out. That should be the focus. Good timing here to start getting some control on the upstairs. They've got 90 seconds still to play with, Ace, and already they're smashing this hallway to smithereens. I like it. better pace coming out from TSM.
Certainly is. It's no time for no mistakes. There is no opportunities left for them, and you start really thinking if TSM don't pick up points here, Des, 0 out of 3 games, we start looking towards the potential of a first NA team that are going to be dropping out of the competition. Given the position for Empire and Invictus, it's going to be very difficult for TSM to catch them up. They're going to be reliant on other results now. Then the electrical goes out, possibly a bit late, possibly not. He might just be successful there. It was close, but the exothermic charge opens up along with the rest of kitchen floor. TSM, that is a point in their favour. 45 seconds left to go. They could really do with finding a kill or two before the drop comes in. Cider, out goes the Toxic Babe canister. He's going to keep himself inside a dirt tunnel for the time being. 35 seconds. This is going to be a mad rush to finish.
It has to be, doesn't it, here? The smoke's in place, but the drop. Oh, the suicide drop, as it can so often be called here. In comes one. The smoke misses. It hits on the wall. The nade comes singing through. Scyther will be able to back away. Shepard finding one, but Geo's in the default plant spot. C4 coming through. Doesn't do the work. Geo sticks it. TSM have the plant down, but a 4 versus 4. The vertical angle, it's so deadly. They need to send someone up main stairs to go and challenge into this bathroom. They can try and stick it. The drop. Charla comes in, finds one, can't find the second. Shepard getting the shut down, but not before. Charlotte confirms the next one. Shepard's onto a 3k. They're sticking off on the plant. Pojo coming on the upstairs. Does Shepard know? He must know. Don't look away now. He sees the man. Goes for the spray. He gets him down, but Shepard with a quadra kill. That's the way you clutch a game out, ladies and gents. Empire 7-4 in TSM.
Unbelievable from Shepard. We've seen it from him time and time again. He is Mr. Cool, Calm and Collected. There is absolutely no flapping in the man. He will always lock it down. He's got that clutch factor, and he brings it to bear again. 4 kills in the round, and Des, he hit a man between the pans. He hit him between the pans.
Honestly, that was something special from Shepard. That's the kind of performance you want from a support player. Please excuse my towel. My door is open. It's very warm in here. Not going away. Honestly, one of those ones where you look at him and just think he's living up to his name there, mate. He's shepherding his team in towards a victory. And forget looking after sheep. He's got a team of goats surrounding him right now. They looked phenomenal in that game. A much better Empire than what we saw coming out of them yesterday. TSM, I said in this game, if you're sat at 0-3, it might be a bit too late. And I know a man who knows the time really well. Let's get Jackie back on. Been come and join us for a bit of a chat about what looks to be a bit of a morbid moment for TSM, to be honest with you, Jackie.
Yeah, coming in at a lone point for TSM, really, right? Obviously, what we saw yesterday led us to believe that the roster might struggle up against Empire. I was watching the game, I was thinking, you know what? It feels like the pieces are falling more into place. They were getting into their groove, and then the Russians woke up, and the Russians never went back to sleep. Huge game. Obviously, the clutch there in the final round as well. More clutch than a car dealership, Tim.
Honestly, that man, he knows what it's about, doesn't he? The thing is, like, we watch Shepard all through the EUL stages, and you'll see him, he's sat back in his chair, he's just relaxed, he's got no problems, and he's like that when he's hitting those plays. It is unbelievable. There is absolutely no rattle in the man. He just cannot be shaken.
Oh, it's ridiculous as well, right? Because you looked at their faces. Win or lose, Empire, it's the same response. In clutches like that, there's no emotion. There's nothing. It's like watching a team of ridiculous robots, Des.
I mean, that's kind of part of the joke, right? Empire were once called the Russian cyborgs because they are very mechanical in nature. They're very focused on the task at hand. It was in their play style. It's in their demeanor. I've never really seen anything quite like it, where a team's personality of being quite stoic and quite serious actually translates into gameplay. They're definitely loosened up a lot more now, and they are looking a little bit different compared to the days of 2 years ago when they were this robotic force that seemingly no one could stop. Terminators, you may as well have been calling them. But here today, I think they've basically terminated TSM's chance at making it out of groups. I was saying at the start of the day, 9 points probably isn't really enough to make it out. That's the max that TSM can get. And to do that, they'd have to beat every single team now in their group that they've already lost to once. Seems a bit impossible for me.
It's going to be such a struggle, right? Like, it's already way too far gone at that point. It's also getting late into the tournament, where at this point it feels like everyone's started to find their form. There's no more LAN jitters. They're all into their groove. So the games are only going to get harder. So really unlucky for TSM there. If we do go into the statistics for this series, though, we can see where some of our key players were situated, because there was a lot of death being dealt out on the server, Tim. Huge game.
Jacket, it hit him between the pans. That's all we need to remember
He
out
did,
of that
no,
game.
he did,
Shepherd thread the needle and hit him between the pans. Shepherd coming in with 10 kills. What a performance from him. 82% cost as well. He has really, really stepped up today in more ways than one. Joystick as well. We've been asking for it for the longest time. He's activated. He's found 11 kills and he's really started to get himself running damn solid as ever. I've got to shout Charler out again. Had a great game on the side of TSM. Deserved more than he probably got out of this matchup, realistically. Really, really impressed with him today. Geo as well, some big moments. But unfortunately, Empire, they just turned it on in that last few rounds.
They really did, man. God, through the pan.
Hit him through the pan.
Honestly. What is it with you and your obsession with pans, Ace? I don't understand.
That shot, it was unbelievable. Wait till you see it back in slow motion.
No, I saw it, mate. He was on the default spot. It's like an easy angle to shoot through. I don't get the excitement.
You'll see the headshot through the he threaded the needle. It was beautiful.
Yeah, okay. You wouldn't really, if you were there for the BR6, Des, you'd understand the appreciation.
Put it this way, I wouldn't have hit that shot.
Nor me, mate. I'm not even worried about saying that. No, all right. It's a BR6 thing, right? We'll leave you two in your little fancy land and remembering all that stuff. All right, fine.
Going on little walks down memory lane. But of course, we know which team's going to be walking away happy with that one. Much better feat from Empire. It was lovely to see. And something that you might like to see if you missed it at home, Tim's favourite moment. Let's check out the pan frag and really break this one down, Tim.
Look at it. Absolutely beautiful from Shepherd. He's a support player. Absolutely destroyed him through the smallest of gaps there. It was just a beautiful kill. I enjoyed it.
Do you feel a bit more, do you see the oomph behind that one now, Des?
No, I'm now still more shocked at Tim. I think as he's getting on, he's just getting more excited at the smaller things in life. And that's a beautiful quality to have. But I don't know about pan shots. They're really high on my list of entertainment for a day of Siege. Won't lie. But all right, Tim, I'll give it to you.
Look, the saying is you've got to enjoy the little things in life. And Tim, he's not the biggest man in the world. But we will have some big men up on your screen when we come back. Of course, we are nowhere near done for the day. Many more best of ones to get through. Once we return after the break, it will be Liquid taking on Invictus over in Group D. That is going to be a staple game. Come back for that after the break.